I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome back, everybody. I'm ARHayes. This is Convict's Thoughts. I truly appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, even a thumbs down if you feel that's what I deserve. But leave a comment. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. Because here we are, ladies and gentlemen, just like my intro stated. We're looking for the truth. And for some reason, the narrative pushers and the state of Idaho don't feel as though we can handle the truth. But guess what? I have truth, and I'm going to share it with you. And it's going to be regarding the newest released video that supposedly shows Brian Kohberger either in a jail cell, a holding cell, or maybe potentially even a cell at the penitentiary. When it first came to me, I shook my head because I felt the disgust within me. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. For many of you out there that may not know, I've served many of years within the penitentiary. And many of those years I wasn't serving in the penitentiary, I was housed within the jail system. So now that I'm free and I'm out here with all of you, I feel as though I can help by sharing experiences and knowledge that I've gained through my experience. I can't tell you everything about the case. I am not the master of knowledge, but the one thing I do know incarceration. I know the politics that happens within the facilities, and I can share much of that with you. So the minute that these so-called videos landed into my messaging boxes, emails, Discord, text messages, they were just flying in, and thank God they were short videos because they would have overwhelmed my electronic devices, which I have no clue how to fix once they get overwhelmed. But the minute I started watching this, you're right, I got sick to my stomach because I almost envisioned these were real. And I'm thinking to myself, who would stoop to the level of actually wanting to release this type of footage of Brian Kohberger? But then it just dinged on me. It hit me right in the head. All of the followers of the very clowns that I've been doing videos on that continue to push the mainstream media narratives and the negativity towards Brian Kohberger in this case. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, look, if he is the committer of the crime, if there is direct evidence that showcases to me that he is the committer of this crime, I 100% just say, let it bombard onto the man's shoulders, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, the proof isn't adding up to guilt, even though he did plead guilty. Yes, Brian Kohberger made the statement out of his own mouth, using his own voice, that he committed these crimes. He said yes to every question Judge Hitler asked him. So I've got to put some value into that. And he has been sentenced to 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole, with the tail end of 10 years. And from what I understand, he serves the 10 years first, and then he moves into the consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. I call this forever and a day. I don't know if I agree with the death penalty or not, but I do understand that some crimes, some cases deserve the highest level of punishment possible. And a crime like this does, if it's proven the person committed the crime. I value evidence. I value the very truth and transparency of an investigation. And within this one, it's lacking. It doesn't hit home as solid to me. Some will disagree with me, and that's fine. That's what creates discussion, and discussion opens eyes. And once eyes are open, we can now dive into the realistic problems that need to be fixed. And this investigation has many. There are many questionable acts that transpired, and there's many people who were potentially investigated that fell short on the spectrum of whether that investigation was done properly. But now we've got to venture down a whole nother path, because after spending a little bit of time, first I had to calm down, because let me explain to you why some of this frustrates me so much. This lifestyle, the penitentiary lifestyle, was my life for a very long time. I take it seriously because I had to walk in the very shoes necessary to survive on prison yards. I was just a little guy. I was a nobody when I first entered into the penitentiary, and I had to fight for my own safety. I had to fight for my own medical needs. I had to fight to stay in a better shape, health-wise, working out, rec time. Everything was a fight to stay and survive. So when things like this unfold, the untruths and the very negativity showcased on people like we're idiots and we would believe all of this to be true, hits home with me. Just like if somebody went at you and took your job and your lifestyle and just put a complete negative lying spin on it, it would affect you as well, whether it be your job, raising your children, your educational values, even your religious values. Any negative spin to that, and it hits home if it means that much to you. And people would ask, why does your prison history mean so much to you, AR? It's because I overcame it. I fought through it, and I got to a better place, which I'm proud of. I'm proud of because my wife, my beautiful wife, put that very nugget in front of me, that was an expectation of hers for me to be able to fulfill the needs that she needed in a proper, loving marriage. And I accomplished that. I have spun my life in a complete different way. And now I'm here sitting before you as a normal, law-abiding citizen, doing the right things and just surviving now in the free world. But I can still bring you truths. So I am frustrated when I see these so-called videos come out for everybody to see, because at first look, they almost look legitimate until the experience clicks in and it starts to remind you just how fake this really was. You can look at the picture. First of all, let me explain cameras, both in a jail setting and in a prison setting, to clarify what's allowable and what's not. Within a cell setting, there's only one type of cell housing unit that you could put cameras in, and that's suicide watch. You are allowed to have cameras in suicide watch because of the fact that inmate is to be watched 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what. Eyes have to be on them. But when you get into other types of housing units, cameras are not in them. You don't walk into a prison cell and see a camera in any of them. You do not walk into any jail cell and find a camera within them. The cameras are in the day rooms. The cameras are in the walkways. This protects the individual incarcerated for many different things. And trust me, the system cannot film people undressing, using the restroom, showering, these very things. And I watched the content creator that completely bogusly lied to people out there, and he should know better. He should know better. He's been incarcerated within the federal penitentiary. He should know better than to come out here and bogusly straight up lie that your right to privacy is completely gone while you're incarcerated. That's not true. That's not true. Yes, I get it, and I'll be the first one to say it. When you're incarcerated, you pretty much have no rights. You are a property of the state. But there is rules and regulations of where cameras can be and where they cannot be. But you also really got to take a direct reflection that even where they are allowed to be, that stays within the system unless the system deems it worthy to be released. If there's something on video that could potentially be part of a case and evidence within a mishap that has happened within the penitentiary or within the jail, those are releasable. A man standing in a cell in a medical unit is not releasable, especially if you look at the Brian Kohberger video. We're going to dissect this video a little bit. In that video, you clearly state you see the toilet in the background of that video, meaning that any time that Brian Kohberger needed to use the restroom, it would be on camera. That can't be. That camera cannot showcase that open toilet. There is never an allowance to be video recording inmates using the restroom. And many have reached out to me. Do I believe that this video is real and true? No, I do not. And there's many reasons why. One, the very shoes that Brian Kohberger supposedly cleaning in that setting would not be allowable in his cell. Do you realize those are sandal-like Birkenstocks, black in color, and he's cleaning them? You can see the straps in the back of the sandals as he's cleaning them and spin them. Those are not allowable shoes either in jail or the penitentiary. If those were shoes that he was wearing to court, they would be changed out before he ever got back into his cell and taken away from him. Those orange shoes that you see on the floor of the cell, those are legitimate, both jail and prison shoes. You can get those in either one. So those are typically given to you when you get there. You get a pair of those, and you get a pair of what's called shower shoes, which are sandals, either the cheapy ones with the piece of thread that goes between your toes, or like the nicer ones that you slide your foot into. You get shower shoes. You get a pair of those, and typically you get a pair of those orange walk-around shoes that are a little bit easier to move around in. At no point are you going to have Birkenstock-style sandals. They're not for sale on commissary, and they're not given for any reason. Yes, you can get shoes through medical. If the doctor warrants you to get specialized shoes, they order them for you. I was eligible for special shoes because I was a diabetic with neuropathy in my feet and also completely shattered my right foot, creating a real issue for walking. So I was able to get specialized New Balances that were E-width that allowed for a brace, a movable, bendable brace that was custom made for me to go onto my foot and still fit into the tennis shoe. So yes, I had special privileges. I got to wear special shoes. Not every inmate gets that privilege. So in looking at the black shoes, they would have never been in the cell with him. You have to realize this is not J Block. People have asked me, is that a J Block cell? No, it's absolutely not. The cell that you see behind me in this video right here is very much so what J block cells look like. And the cell that Brian Kohberger's video was released from is quite a bit bigger. I mean, a lot bigger than a normal prison cell in segregation or solitary confinement. Not at all the right type of cell. You can also tell this is a medical cell, not by the bed, because I believe the bed is fake. I don't know that, but I believe the bed is also fake just based upon the remnants that are scattered on top of the bed. They do not look like they're allowable in the penitentiary. Plus, that blanket that's on the bed is not a penitentiary issued blanket. It's not a jail issued blanket either. And in jail, you would never get a bunk like that. Steel, concrete, not medical, not able to be lifted up and down. That's when you're in the hospital wing of the penitentiary where they cuff you to your bunk and you are in the hospital and they're nowhere that nice. Trash can. If you look at that trash can in that cell, that's not a jail issue or a prison issued trash can. They would never allow that tougher, thicker plastic of a trash can in a cell because it can be broken down and utilized as contraband for many other things, including gluing a lot of that stuff together, mending it together to make shanks. Anything that pokes, they will not allow you to have, and that's breakable. Typically in jail or the penitentiary, your trash can is a paper bag. Yes, sometimes they'll allow you little things that you're allowed to put your trash into. That's on much lower yards, minimums, some lower mediums. You will never see it with a high-level inmate with the charges of Brian Kohberger. This was made as a narrative push for all to see. It's fake. And whoever did this should be investigated and potentially prosecuted. But unfortunately, if you're just creating an AI or a fake type video like this, there's most likely not a punishment to it. But I'll tell you what, we out here, the truth seekers, the people that believe in innocent until proven guilty and believe that our system has flaws and needs to be corrected, this is just another sign of that. The penitentiary where Brian Kohberger is housed had to release a whole nother statement stating that they're looking into this, which tells me if they release something like this, that they're looking into this, the very grounds of that cell is the medical intake during his bringing to the penitentiary from the jail. He most likely went into a medical observatory cell, almost like a suicide watch, just a lower level. They haven't deemed him to be on suicide watch, but it's going to be more in the medical facility while they're doing the intake process, but that bed does not belong in there. But obviously, through the statement of the Idaho Department of Corrections, they're acknowledging that this potentially is being leaked, showcasing a cell or even the movements of Brian Kohberger with some tweaking, with some changing. And that's what I hate. That's why we can't trust the videos. We can't trust the audio. We can't trust anything because they're all able to be manipulated. I just want to see the truth. Leave it as real. If you have direct evidence to convict somebody of a crime, you shouldn't have to change anything. I know this is a negative spin to make Brian Kohberger look even worse, to build a narrative in the crazy look of Brian Kohberger, and I'm not one that's falling for it. Within that metal grating, I believe that's some sort of TV. I don't know that to be the case, but in some medical units, since you are allowed to have a personal TV when you hit the penitentiary, which the intake center at the Idaho State Maximum Security Institution They house medical people there, so they would have TVs. They would lock them in that so that people can't do anything with them, especially if they're state issued, meaning that Brian Kohberger hasn't even had enough time for his money to hit his books. And that's how I know he would not have been able to purchase state penitentiary commissary shoes. And the shoes he has on his feet are not issued via the penitentiary. I just shake my head. I just shake my head because I don't understand the point. I get it. I'm a YouTube content creator myself, and I understand the algorithm, the clicks, the views, the likes, the comments, and the money that stems from that through the advertising, through the donations, through the fan, support, through the memberships. I get it. There's a lot riding on the line as a content creator. And many will cut corners to earn extra income. But to release these types of things as real is sickening. It's sickening. And I have a lot of respect for the very content creators, especially some of those that I've spoken with that have pulled this back and been unwilling to release this as truth because it's not. We've already gone over the clown situation of the people stating of how Brian Kohberger is being harassed within the penitentiary. And as if many of you maybe have not seen, the Department of Corrections, again, they're at the maximum security housing unit that Brian Kohberger's at, had to make a statement stating they understand what's going on, that people are trying to communicate with Brian Kohberger, but he's fine and he's safe and everything's going okay, which clearly states with you, stop the BS narrative. Stop it. I just did a video reaction on a creator and a newscaster and a journalist that wanted to go over Brian Kohberger's complete situation happening there in the prison, breaking that down. And all I remember him saying is, I don't care. Why should we care? Why should we care? Well, you've released 4 videos on Brian Kohberger since then. And I guarantee you there's going to be more. So obviously you care. And obviously the people watching you that are trickling that little bit of AdSense money across the board into your pocket care. So you continue to focus on it and put out that type of information. It's fake, ladies and gentlemen. It is fake. It's not real. The video is not real. Somebody that's been in the penitentiary, I've been in jail. I've been in suicide watch. I've been in holding cells. I've been in medical. I've been in solitary confinement. I've been in complete closed custody lockdown. I've been in CDU units. I've been in just about every unit you can be in the penitentiary except for the PC unit. I've not been in protective custody, so I couldn't explain protective custody to save my life. But I've been in just about every other unit. Oh, another one. I have not been in death row. I've only been housed next to it. I got buddies in death row. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if that was real, I would tell you it was real. If that really was the oddness that I was watching realistically with my own eyes, Brian Kohberger was displaying in a cell, I would tell you that. That's why you come here. I will give you what I see, my opinions, my thoughts, but I can also, when I see something, when it comes to the penitentiary that's fake and bogus, I'll call it out and I'll give it to you straight. This isn't what is even remotely possible of being real and true. Like I said, if anything, this would be the medical intake holding cell where they could hold someone up to 72 hours. If you remember, when Brian Kohberger landed at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, He was listed as being in the medical unit of J Block, which would be a 3-day hold. It's an evaluation. Typically, it's called suicide watch, but in his case, they might have moved away from the suicide watch because he had all of his clothes on. In suicide watch, you're in your boxers, and you don't get any fun stuff in your room, including that trash can, those shoes, those anything. You don't get anything. You get a tear-proof, fire-proof blanket, and that's about it. You lay around in your boxers. They give you a roll of toilet paper without the actual cardboard in it. That's none of this with Brian Kohberger. So at the end of the day, I'm going to sum it up like this. And I'm appreciative of each and every single one of you that came and spent some time with me. It's fake. It's not real. And if your favorite content creator or one that you tend to stop by and give a view to learn information from is selling this to you as real, you might want to either confront them or maybe pick a different content creator to get your truth and your facts from. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out. I'm ARHayes, and you've been with A Convict's Thoughts.